Ladies and gentlemen, federal employees, today we're talking about buying back your military time so that you, on the civilian side, can get a bigger pension and potentially retire earlier. Now, if you're new to this topic, we're going to dive into whether it actually makes sense for you to buy it back, what it actually means to buy back your time, how much it's going to cost you, and actually how to go through the process of actually buying back your time. But if you're new to the channel in general, so good to have you. My name is Dallin Hawes. I'm a financial planner who specializes in working with federal employees just like you to maximize your retirement. So let's dive in. Let's first talk about what is buying back your military time. What does that even mean? This is what it means. You pay a deposit, you pay some money now so that those years you spent in the military can count towards your civilian retirement. If you don't pay that money, that time does not count towards your civilian retirement. But if you do, again, it can count towards your civilian retirement, which means your civilian pension can potentially be bigger because more years of service will be applied. And you can potentially retire earlier because the more years of service you have as a federal employee, the sooner you can retire as a federal employee. Okay? So that is the core concept, is you pay some money now to have your pension and things be bigger later. Okay? Next, how do you know if it makes sense for you? How do you know if it's worth it to pay that money and get a bigger pension later? Well, the good news is it's relatively simple. Relatively simple. If you have a military pension, so if you did a full military career, you have your 20 years and you did a full military career, the odds of this making sense for you is actually pretty small. For most of you, it does not make sense to buy back your time. I've seen a few instances where it has, but for the most part, it does not make sense for you to buy back your military time. However, if you have anything less than a full military career, so if you have 15 years, 10 years, 4 years, 2 years, whatever it may be, anything less than getting a full military pension, the odds that you should buy back your time and it's very worth it is very, very high. I've looked at so many scenarios, ran so many numbers, and the odds of it making sense is so high. Now, you can watch the rest of the video to see if it does make sense for you. However, again, if you have anything less than a full military pension, military retirement, you are going to want to buy back your time 99 times out of 100. Okay? So that's the first thing. The vast majority of times, if you don't have a military pension, it is right for you. But the big $1 million question is, how much is it going to cost you? How much is that deposit going to be that you have to pay back to have this apply towards your civilian career? Long story short, you've got to go through a process to figure out what that is. I can't tell you exactly. It depends on how much money you made during your career and, of course, how long your career was as well. So you got to fill out a form. This is the form number RI 2097. You got to send that form off to the appropriate military branch where you had your service, and that will start the process. Basically, this form will estimate your earnings during your military time, which your HR will then use to estimate what the deposit is going to cost you. Okay? So again, you reach out to the military branch that you worked for, and they will start that process, and then it goes to your HR, and your HR will give you an estimate of how much it's going to cost to buy that time back towards your civilian career. Okay? So again, start with this form, start with your military branch, and then work towards your HR, and they will give you an estimate of what it's going to cost. Now, keep in mind that the longer you wait to buy back your military time, the more it's going to cost you. There's interest that accrues after the first couple of years of your civilian career. It starts accruing that this deposit is going to be bigger and bigger the longer you wait. So if you have military time that you're thinking about buying back, do it now. It is so worth it the vast majority of the time. Okay? So that's first. You can figure out then how much it's going to be, and you can talk to your HR, hey, how much is this going to increase my pension by? They'll be able to walk you through a pension estimate with it included. I've got whole videos on how to calculate your civilian pension, so check those out as well if you want to know how much your pension is going to increase based on how many years of service you have on the military side. Okay? So that's step number 2, is figure out how much it's going to be and how much it's going to increase your pension by. Again, I don't know those numbers because I don't know your career or anything like that, but getting an estimate for how much it's going to cost you is the first step. Next is pay it. You got to pay this deposit back. Now, there's 2 ways to do it. You can do it in a lump sum. Let's say the deposit is $2,000. Well, you can pay, again, if you have $2,000 lying around, you can just pay it, or you can pay it over time via payroll deductions. There's a couple ways to do it, and it's flexible. But long story short, you've got to pay it before you retire. You cannot buy back military time after you've left the federal service as a civilian. You cannot retroactively have it apply. You've got to make this deposit and pay it before you retire. So let's do a quick recap, okay? First, if you have a full-blown military retirement, you probably shouldn't buy back your time. You could look at it. I've seen it make sense sometimes, but most of the time it doesn't make sense. If you have anything less than a full military career and 20-year pension, then yes, you probably should, and you should do it ASAP because interest accrues if you wait. And to figure out how much it's going to be, reach out to your military branch that you worked for, and you work with them on this form, RI 2097. You can find that form online, and they will then, you got to get that information over to your HR, and they will estimate how much it's going to cost you, what that deposit's going to be, so that you can pay it before you retire to have that time, your military time, work for your civilian pension, which means your pension will be bigger and potentially you can retire earlier as well. So that is the summary of buying back your military time. And again, it makes sense so many times. Please take action on this ASAP, but I hope this is helpful and have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time.